We're recording.
Yep, we're going. All right.
You don't have much coffee left.
I know.
There.
I had to get a head start.
Cheers.
Ching, ching, baby.
Yeah. Native root butter coffee. Native root butter coffee. I wasn't looking at the camera. I was looking at the screen.
Yeah. Well, it's native root coffee, and then you make it into amazing
I
butter
make it
coffee.
into butter coffee. Yeah. It doesn't come as butter coffee. That's for sure. Is this going to work? If we look at the screen, this is how we look.
Right.
But if I look at the camera, this is how I look. Is it better for me to look at the camera?
I don't know. I'm not watching.
Watch me.
Nice. Okay, I'm watching you.
Okay, I'm looking at the camera. Now I'm looking at the screen.
Oh yeah, don't look at the screen.
It makes you look like you're looking away.
Yeah, either way, I suppose I look like I'm looking at you.
Nah, so we need to change this then. That's fine. That's fine.
So should we stop recording?
No, it's okay. This is background. This is B-roll stuff, baby. This is like people want to see that kind of shit.
This is real life.
Schmidt it. There we go.
Okay.
All right. Coffee's here. Water's here.
Next time, can you have our camera guy set things up right from the beginning? Have a talk with him.
Well, sometimes he's a little bit belligerent.
Really?
How do
you handle that?
Well, take him in the back room and smack him up a little bit. Smack him around, give him a few 1-2s, maybe a 3.
1, 2, 3.
This is my old style thermos coffee container, or just
classic.
It's classic. It's very classic. And
classic would also be like the army green or the khaki color.
It's what my grandpa used to carry to work every day.
Do you remember what color his was?
It was like this. It might have been, I think it was blue. I think it was that dark blue. Yeah. I don't think it was black. I don't think it was silver.
Yeah, because
it could have been green. It could have been like army green.
Now are you thinking that because I pre-programmed you?
No, I remember seeing it, but I remember seeing my grandma fill it. Yeah.
Your mom might remember. That'd be interesting to ask, but not tell her the options. I almost literally inhaled my coffee.
Oh, I do that all the time.
That wine is better for that.
I don't even have a notepad. How come you didn't prepare me for this?
We can share.
I don't have a notepad. I don't. Well, it's not going to be good to write on this. I got this placemat. This fabric-y thing, this mini blanket, this little gnome blanket.
Yes. I thought of a topic. I know you love just riffing without a topic.
Okay, I need a notebook now. This is gonna. I showed off my sweatpants.
Just like any good.
That's because my jeans are in the
post-COVID, having meetings in your pajama pants kind of person, kind of era. There's Maggie in the background. I'm trying to demo Maggie, but even when I focus the camera, she is so blended in, you can't even see her.
She's in her bed in the chair back there.
Yep. All right, well, we're starting this podcast with a lot of behind the scenes kind of stuff, and how prepared John is not, or how much goes into preparing.
And I'm wearing my sweatpants because my jeans are in the dryer.
That's true.
Before we leave for our meeting.
Yeah, it's better.
Because we're performing business meetings today with multiple peoples.
Okay. You want to riff for a while, or you want to go into I have a topic.
We've been riffing all morning. You came out, I asked you to find my glasses, and you came out wearing my glasses. We're not going to show everybody how sexy you looked with my glasses on.
Oh.
It's like my very own librarian.
Oh, wow.
All the guys will be like, yeah, yeah.
Why is that? Is it generally because it's a costume, or so? I remember Jordan Peterson talked about like I'm pretty sure it was Jordan Peterson, like the most common like sex novel characters, the men are like vampires, pirates, businessmen, and then there's something else. And I mean, when you think about it, well, it doesn't always make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. Like I've never, but
all three of those are out of control. There's
Controlled chaos.
there's an aspect of being on the edge. Yeah. So evidently women like that.
It's intriguing until you're in it, and then it's like, wait a minute, that's too much. It was fun to look at and imagine, but
and guys like the fantasy is the French maid, the nurse, the librarian, and the kind of coy lady wearing the short plaid looking skirt, that type of thing. Yeah.
So what do you think is behind that?
You know, I'm not Jordan Peterson.
Well, John,
I didn't spend 30 years studying that stuff. I know what I like.
So I think there's a caretaking aspect.
I like you.
You apparently like a librarian.
Well, you know, I just said you were my sexy librarian.
Well, of course.
I didn't say I like a librarian. Have you seen librarians?
Yes.
That's like saying I like my lunch lady from elementary school.
Oh, John.
What? Hey,
so
whatever other people are conjuring up in their minds is their fault. That's their problem. I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything descript or specific. I said, my lunch lady, you don't know what she looked like.
Yeah.
You don't know that she was like 4 sizes too big. She was the only obese woman when I was 12 years old that I had ever seen. Well, you don't know that.
Well, we're talking archetypes at this point still.
And lunch ladies are archetypes.
And there is, yeah.
Is the archetype that she eats all the lunch?
And the secretary was.
Secretary, okay, I'll tell. I think secretary. So the librarian is, you put the glasses on because it denotes a certain amount of knowledge, right? Like if you see people with glasses.
How much knowledge? Like this much knowledge, or this much knowledge?
Every guy appreciates a different length of size of knowledge, amount of knowledge. So, or maybe every librarian, but no, I'll say this: it's Hollywoodized, right? So it's Hollywoodized in my mind because of movies, right? I've never gone into a library and been like, oh, this librarian, no, but you see it in movies, right? But
which movies?
If I would, well, geez, we're not going to make a list of movies, but
okay. I'm just curious which movies have the sexy librarians.
You've seen movies that
come check out this row of books. I have some microfiches in the back if you would like to come and check those out with me in the dark room.
So it's a librarian photographer. No, I we've seen movies and popularized pop culture movies where they do characters, right? There's different characters in the there's the innocent person, there's the knowledgeable person, and I think the glasses denote some sort of studiousness, which it might be just attractive to different guys, right? I am attracted to intellect. I am attracted to sexiness. I'm attracted to long hair, and that type of thing. So yeah, I would say maybe there's archetypes of attractiveness in, innocence would be one, awareness, would be another. And they might be instinctual. They might go back to child rearing. I mean, everybody's talking today about how women should be virgins again before they get married and that type of stuff. And I'm not 100% on board with that. That appeals to my instinct, right? That appeals, and what they're saying the reason for that is because then it's your child, right? And I did give you a stat the other day that I listened to this thing, and this lady was interviewing people that worked at DNA labs, and one guy had to quit because he had to give so many results to men that they weren't the father of their children or one child in their lineup of children,
Or wasn't it like they're someone was getting an organ transplant and they found out they were not related.
They were not related to their parent or their brother, or these types of things.
So they're already at a very critical time in life, a very challenging point. So this guy quit his job because he was finding he was ending up being a counselor, and
he ended up having to counsel people because he would have to call them to give them results. Because it's so confidential, they wouldn't even mail it or anything like that. They would call them, get the person on the phone, have them identify who they were through whatever mechanisms, codes, your mother's maiden name, Johnson, and so, you go down the list, and this guy was so distraught after evidently a couple of years of doing this. He was like, I can't do this anymore, because the people would just, how is that true? Is there any chance that it's not true? Is there, and they would get into it. And so, yeah, I mean, and not to bring up another topic, but we watched 1883, and you know what happens when people are dishonest on the Oregon Trail.
Yeah.
Right. You can't suffer dishonesty. You can't suffer betrayal. You can't suffer thievery. You can't suffer foolishness, all these things which are foundational characteristics of productivity, or survival or society, and our society has pop culture at the top of it, and politicians now, and they're all doing all the wrong stuff. And so, and all the people are fractionating and then going after each other because they're upset about the differential, right? And it's like if we just sat here and talked about how I'm better because I'm a guy, and you said you're better because you're a woman, and then we just kept going and going and going.
Well, no, you see it in families too. Like if the parents are fighting, kids fight anyways, but it's like the kids fight even more.
Sometimes the kids band together and then go against the parents, right? It depends on.
But John, you're really getting off topic. Okay,
I didn't realize we had a topic.
Let's get back to the sexy characters.
Do you guys remember what the topic was?
Yes.
Oh, sexy characters.
Yeah, we were talking about the librarian, the French maid,
pirates.
Well, that's for the guys, apparently.
Guys like pirates.
No, for the apparently women.
Some guys, I'm sure, like pirates. There's
Yes.
a whole lot of guys nowadays that might like pirates. Back in the day,
we shouldn't go. I was just thinking of something I shouldn't say.
You should say anything that you think you should say. And if you don't think you should say it, it's probably the funniest thing.
It is really funny.
Okay, say it.
You're drinking coffee.
This could be an X-rated.
Well, if they like the pirates, they probably really like the wooden peg.
Wow.
So,
wow.
See?
Wow.
So, is it, yes, you should have said that, or?
The reason I say wow to anybody listening is because that type of stuff normally doesn't come out of your mouth.
Yeah.
You usually keep that kind of stuff in, but now you did it for the public. So
I know.
You rarely even do it for me.
Yep.
You'd rarely shoot your mouth off that way. That was pretty awesome.
Thank you.
You can hang out with the guys and me later now because you got good jokes.
That was not my goal. I mean, what's for dinner? Where are we going to dinner? Then maybe.
Oh, where are we going for dinner?
Yeah.
I'm trying to save money right now.
Well, John, let's back to the French maids,
okay.
Back to the schoolgirl. I know that's what you were gonna say, but it's like she's of age schoolgirl. That's the cute skirt.
No, I wouldn't say schoolgirl.
I know you didn't, and you wouldn't, but I know that's in the purview.
I would say college gal. There are certain colleges, like a private woman's college would be. I would go there. I would go there to view things that I like.
So innocence. I do think that is one of them. And what came to mind, I actually was thinking this morning. Don't know. I think I must have been preparing for this talk because it came to my mind. We saw that.
I tried to look.
John, are you nervous?
No, I tried to look in the screen.
Is this topic making you nervous?
Not at all.
So we watched.
I have to stay seated. It's actually turning me on.
The documentary of Pam Anderson, and she's like the classic
I remember that.
iconic babe.
Mm.
But not just babe, I mean, because there are many beautiful women, but she had like the character. And
She,
let me guess.
yeah.
Okay, let me try to define what I think that men, it's not just obviously her amazing looks, but her character. And I see it in when I looked at her astrology chart too, briefly. And she has that innocence. She has that, even like when they were going through difficult, her recounting of the story, I don't know how she was at the time, but even when she talks about their sex tapes being stolen or her times they went through, she still has that kind of this playfulness, kind of lightness about
Yeah.
it, where someone like me, any beauty ratings I have was quickly go crashing down because it's like, oh, this is so serious and and then it's just like the ogre comes out.
That was a great
right?
face to make. Yeah.
And
You
so
lost all of your appeal.
right, but that is a part. That's my point. Is I think a huge part of her popularity and her attraction is for guys specifically. They like that innocence. They like that carefreeness, so that when they are out there slaying the dragons, they can come home to a woman. That's the ideal woman. Is, oh, the tree fell down on the house, and she's like, hi honey.
Not that I ever could be, but I could never be with Pamela Anderson, right? Not that, watching that documentary and listening to the decisions she talked about making in her life, I could have been around her for like 5 minutes, and then I would have been done. It just,
What do you think of my assessment though, first of all?
yeah.
That
Well,
was
and
the
I
attractiveness?
honestly, I think she could have only been a person from Canada. She could only have been a woman from Canada, because Canadians of that genre, of that era, they had a different level of carefreeness, right? They had a very different essence of innocence and carefreeness and humor, and almost like a live and let live kind of mentality that really lent to her coming to America and getting caught up in the things she got caught up in,
So is it like another layer of innocence that she kind of got swept away?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
almost like, somebody would have told her, "You're so pretty and innocent, we want you to be in this role," and she would have just been like, "Okay," and not
Apparently she was.
right, not even calculating, not even demanding more money or she definitely wouldn't have been a Kardashian type, right?
Right.
Where, well, I'll show up if you pay me $50,000, to stand on the balcony and wave to people.
She didn't have her mom as her agent either.
She didn't have her mom as her pimp. So yeah, usually I'm the one saying that kind of stuff, and you're living vicariously.
Right.
No, I think I thought she could be a kind of the new sweetheart. She was a combination of Marilyn Monroe and Jessica Rabbit and Shirley Temple and all these different types of maybe archetypes, maybe just characters. And she really put it together well. I don't think it was good when she started, pumping and inflating and doing all this different type of stuff. But, that was the realm she was in. And, she probably just kept making more and more money, but then it kind of turned into like, that's kind of, it got over the top. And then, when the documentary, she had them removed and all that kind of stuff. And she looked kind of haggard, kind of beat up,
in the she says in the documentary that she was living at the Playboy Mansion and she was seeing all these perfect women. Well, in many people's eyes, she was already perfect.
When she was on the Tool Time with Tim the Tool Man Taylor or whatever it was, yeah, she was the quintessential
girl next door. She was
almost most beautiful girl next door you'd ever seen.
Yeah.
And then she got wrapped up in the rock and roll lifestyle and Hollywood and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I mean, not a lifestyle I would live. Hence why I stayed in Minnesota and did not go to California
to chase.
Well, I had friends that went to California and are now very famous. And I come from a background of, I'm not going to say who, but one of my cousins was one of the most famous people in the world and is now passed away. But yeah, I had ins. I could have made my way.
Mhm.
Not that this shape of face would have been famous in Hollywood or anything, but
Yeah, far cry. Oh my gosh. I'm saying that.
I never would have met you. That's
Yeah. Yep. 'Cause
unless you
this-
left Carver and went to Hollywood.
Yeah. And that's exactly where the trajectory I was on. We're being very sarcastic and yeah, not
Oh, I'm not being sarcastic.
you weren't.
I actually literally before.
No, you that was a true story for you.
Yeah, I told my dad
Yeah.
to start a company, or I was going to California. I didn't say
Yeah.
I was going to Hollywood.
Hollywood.
I just said I was going to California because I had ins. Like I said, I had ins into the stuntman scene. I had ins into the acting scene. I had ins.
I'm creating a scene in my
many
head
different
of
areas.
you, which outfit you were wearing. The jabot jeans or something like.
No, that time frame I would have been wearing Zubas. Yes, I would have been wearing. I had the black and white kind of not quite zebra, but they were a. They were
They're like tears.
They looked a little terry, yeah, in the black and white
Mm-hmm.
alternating kind of thing. And I got pictures. I could, if we ever do a website for our podcast, I'll post them.
That'd be fun. We could put them on Instagram too. That'd be fun.
No, we would put them in for this topic under this podcast. I wouldn't just post them on Instagram.
Oh, well, no, that would be
the only pictures I have with those pants are me breaking 3 patio blocks, martial art. I was doing a downward palm strike on 3 patio blocks, and I was breaking bricks.
Mm-hmm. Good. So the kind of the underlying, so innocence, playfulness, which I think the librarian is a costume, right? It's not the serious, like she's playing serious, but underneath that she's playful, right? And there's something.
That's a little deep. That's a woman's mind, yes.
Okay.
The man's mind is mostly the aesthetic, right?
Okay.
So when you came out, like all you did was put on my glasses, and I said, "Oh, you're my sexy librarian." I didn't
even have the rest of the outfit.
I didn't go into any of
Wasn't even carrying books.
Your playfulness or your intellect. I just looked at you and said that. So yeah, that's why, ladies, that's why guys are so quick to come on to a woman, right? Because they see something they like. Mm-hmm. And that's why a lot of guys nowadays, their lives are so messed up because there's no thought beyond that. The instantaneous, I'm attracted to that, I could mate with that, and I'm going to. and then they find out she's married with 4 kids, and then they're like, oh, MILF. Okay, it's the next category.
Need a new plan.
It just keeps going down, and getting worse and worse and worse, and then finally it's out of desperation that they want to. It degrades into just different levels of kind of desperate attraction. It starts out as intriguing attraction and then turns into desperate attraction and desperation, and then it's kind of like when you can't go out for Chinese food, but you really wanted to. That feeling like you drive all the way there and it's Monday and they're closed. And it's like, what is this, a Chinese holiday?
Well,
what the hell?
Worse, because other restaurants are closed.
No, the worst part is because you can't go anywhere else to get you. There's no other restaurants that just put opium. There's a little sprinkle of opium on their food. There's no other restaurants that do that.
Which one are you going to?
Well, I've heard a lot about that. Especially the ones that are fresh off the boat.
Well, that's interesting. So that's what it's like to give me as a woman an idea of the disappointment a guy goes through when that's not available.
It's so very essential that a woman disappoints a man right away. Right away, because I guess our topic is now how women need to be careful at the grocery store and at the gas station and Oh, let's think. Where would a guy hit on a woman? Oh, wait, anywhere a woman is. So at the gym, at the
Well,
salon,
at the gym, it's a given.
at the salon, a guy could be walking in with his wife to the salon, see another woman as his wife goes back into the massage therapy area. That guy will go over and hit on this woman. It's like it's
Well, hang on. Here's a question now. Do what is
not saying all
where
men.
does
I'm
where
just
does
saying
the
it
line
happens.
talking to and hitting on?
Oh,
where is that?
Okay, so
line?
I'm going to take a note. I've seen this. I just saw this the other day. They're running out of content on the internet. Now there's micro cheating.
Oh,
Yeah.
so that's now
Yeah.
a topic you're saying.
I was
Okay.
talking to a guy and I said, well, we know the guys that were micro cheating. Those are the guys with the micro. So anyway,
This was a shop topic, wasn't it?
it was a shop topic.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm like, micro cheating. Ever heard of it? What? Because they're running out of content, right? They just hash the
Well, now we've got it.
they hash the
microcheating.
crap out of everything.
Yeah.
And then it becomes the next big thing that they talk about on the internet, and it goes so, and pretty soon there's like 500,000 people talking about it, and it gets so wore out, it just becomes nothingness. And I think that's the brilliance, right? Microaggressions, the all of the racism talk, they're wearing it out, so it becomes nothing. And I think that's brilliant. I think the brilliant thing about humans is we need new territory. We need new adventures. We need new things to create and build and strive to find. And we need to dig holes, and we need to find the ancient civilizations that are 23 feet under our feet. 23. And we need to know all this stuff, right? And when we know it, we don't care about it anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, look at the pyramids. How'd they do this? Well, we can't figure it out. Oh, who cares?
It becomes known territory. It's like, okay, that's cool. Off to the next.
And it's guys. That's why guys get bored with the same woman, right? Guys that are caught up in their own averageness, guys that are not personally striving to become more, get bored with their same situation.
So I was just writing down, this is where I think that playfulness and coyness in a woman is a natural attractor, probably across the board. Because
but she can only do it with her man.
Right. But that was me putting on your glasses, coming out. Then it's like, oh, now she's a librarian.
Yes. And when they say guys are simple, okay, guys aren't simple. We're very complex. And we've been married for 23 years.
23, that was that number.
23. And 23 years, and you are just coming. I'm gonna say this for guys, because there is hope, there is light at the end of the rainbow. You are just coming into that. You are
I think probably came full circle. Like, I think it started out, well, keep going, sorry.
But you were dumb innocent early on.
Oh God.
And that's no, really, right? And that's not an insult. It's just it's a not knowing, right? There's the four windows.
Went from the schoolgirl to the librarian.
There's the four windows, right? There's the things you don't know. There's the things you know. There's the things you know that you don't know, and there's the things you know that you don't know. And we're always moving within these windows if we are trying to better ourselves. And after you've been married for 20 some years, you actually personally say to yourself, I need to do something a little different, or I want to add something, or I want to, and it was a perfect opportunity. We're setting up for this. And I said, hey, can you grab my glasses? They're in the living room on the law book. And you joked and you said, oh, is that how you assimilate information now? You just put your glasses on a book and you think you're reading, and then you came out wearing them with them down on your nose and looking over them, very cutely and coyly at me. And I was like, oh. Now, this is where guys are simple. That image of you will last for months in my mind, right? And I will draw upon it. When I think of you, I will think of the cuteness. I will think of the coyness. I will think of the fun. I will think of the And that's how guys stay in bad relationships for so long, because they remember the good times, they remember the great sex, they remember the times when she really wanted, when she was pulling him into a kiss, and that type of stuff. And and that type of thing always needs to continue. It can be overdone, but it shouldn't be overdone. People should realize, you don't bring out the same lingerie every night. You don't bring out the Christmas outfit because the guy was like, "Oh, I love it when you look like Mrs. Claus." You don't wear Mrs. Claus outfit every day, because you'll wear it out, right? And not only will the buttons get ripped off it, but you'll literally wear it out, and emotionally and mentally, and so yeah. So those little things, those little snapshots. Now, I have personally, this is going to sound like bragging, but I have immense control of my brain. I have worked on that and trained myself and tried many different methods. I'm not going to name them all. You can find them on the internet, and have gone to immersion trainings and all for the mind, right? To develop myself. And part of the reason is I've always been interested in things like that. And the other part of the reason is, I'm a high school dropout. I didn't go to tech school. I didn't go to college. I didn't, and in doing that, I knew that I had to better myself, because my contemporaries all graduated. They all went to college. They all, some of them are in their businesses their parents started. Some of them started their own businesses. There's a lot of people from my class or my era, let's say, that moved ahead. Some of the people a year ahead of me and a year behind me, that's who I consider my contemporaries, are very successful. And so there's it's not a competition, but it's an awareness, right? It's kind of like all the people that go to Yale or Harvard, they generally tend to end up in high level positions, right?
I think a lot of that is because of association. You go to an environment where usually a lot of their parents are alumni, and it's networking.
Yeah. So I do strive to be all that I can be,
You keep getting off topic, so I'm going to bring you back to.
I'm on topic for me.
To these archetypes, and my real question is at this point is, now if I came out in a French maid outfit, but I had a Japanese accent, would that ruin it for you?
No, it would automatically switch to my Japanese fantasy.
Oh, really? Oh, I'm kidding. So, what is your Japanese? I shouldn't be encouraging you to share all your fantasies out there, but
why not? No, think about it this way.
Do I have a sword in this one? Is that it?
Oof, if you came out with a sword.
Wow, I just really nailed it.
It has to be like a katana from the 1400s,
well, of
though.
course.
Yeah.
I mean, what else?
So that would be about would be about $120,000 sword.
Well, I'll get a replica to start with.
That would make me go limp. That wouldn't do it.
Oh gosh.
So
standards are so high here.
Yeah, well,
I mean, I have to make over $100,000 or spend over $100,000 just to turn you on.
You are setting the standards. You said the standards are high. You're setting them. You're the one talking about it.
Okay, but then would it be?
How would I know it was a French maid outfit if you were Japanese, or if you?
I know.
I would assume it's a Japanese maid outfit.
Well,
MAID, not MADE.
Yeah. Or is it like under the kimono? And there's like a layered effect. Oh, no, it has to be one fantasy at a time.
I need to see the curves and the shape. I didn't see puffy clothes.
No, they're not puffy. I've worn a kimono. It is.
Yeah, but you're talking about wearing the French maid outfit underneath the kimono.
Yeah, I was just.
That doesn't make any sense.
You
can't layer fantasies. No.
That's what I'm getting at.
That's where guys are simple too. Don't complicate it.
Just
if you're going to bring me a beer, don't read me the ingredients. don't be like, oh, this one has hops and hibiscus and maple and all the things that you like separately.
Which type of glass would you like it in? It's either what kind of glass, or just bring the.
Yeah, if you don't know what glass to put it in, you're in big trouble. Yeah, there are standards. Come on, keep living up to your standards. Hiya, don't you? I will karate chop you.
So
That's my American Japanese impression.
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's
Noticed
really good.
I didn't do an accent. I did a low grumbly. You know, as a white guy, I can do low grumbly, but if I did an accent, then I might be misconstrued as something, which is all wore out now.
It's done. All done.
Call back.
Okay, so sword, but I know the kimono that I was envisioning is more like a robe. So not like the tight kimono. It's more like
because
under that might be a leather outfit.
Jesus. So we got a French-made Japanese kimono and a Harley chick. You know,
it's more the is it Nikita in the movies where she's the vampire.
Super sexy spy, a soupy sexy spy.
But
I go for a soupy sexy spy.
The ninja vampire woman. No, she already carries a sword, doesn't she?
I'm not sure.
Isn't she a vampire?
Are you talking about Underworld?
Oh yeah, I'm talking about Underworld. Oh. I'm mixing them up.
Yeah, the female vampire generally is not they made her to be kind of the male fantasy because the female vampires, and guys know this, always answer to their makers. They're subservient to the person that made them. And that's just the lot of the female. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, unless you're Medusa or something.
Oh, geez, the Gorgon from that. Sorry.
So
I did a low grumbly voice. Yeah.
Yeah, what would be, because the archetypes that you mentioned, they're all kind of innocent and, maybe they have power.
I said innocent. I said
innocence,
intellectual. I said aware.
But none of them are physical prowesses. So is there a fantasy of, generally, because obviously we can't speak for every single guy, they're going to have their own things, but is there an archetype that is like,
other than Catwoman, or bring me a woman that is what'd you say, physically
adept?
No,
what did
I forget the word. We can't roll it back.
So okay, so like Charlie's Angels, but although they're kind of goofs at the same time. Lucy Liu is a character, or
not excited by Lucy Liu. No,
okay, well, but just even the
Charlie's Angels, entertaining movie.
Yeah.
Yes, not.
But they kind of goofily get through things.
Drew Barrymore doesn't do it for me. Lucy Liu doesn't do it for me.
Cameron
Diaz doesn't do it for me. No.
Who does do it for you, John?
I forget her name, but Kill Bill. Kill Bill chick. Yeah. Well, she's actually a badass. She's actually not in real life. Uma Thurman, yeah. Okay. In that movie, she's a badass. And Kate Beckinsale in Underworld is a badass, but there's too much of you can see too much of the floatingness of the cables and the different things, Yeah. There's some classical Japanese flying around movies that have some pretty sexy ladies.
And by sexy, I think you're saying a large component is capability.
Well, they make it physical prowess, you said. And so I was just going to say, bring me a woman with physical prowess. They don't exist.
I'm sure they're.
Nope.
Okay, what are you counting as prowess?
It doesn't. Russian powerlifters don't count.
No,
female Russian powerlifters don't count.
I was getting back to, what do you see as prowess? Like
masculinity is prowess.
Now I've got
women. There are women with sexual prowess. There are women, but we're talking about strength and physicality and dynamic strength and motion. You're talking to a
superior skill or ability, superior strength, courage, or daring, especially in battle.
Yes. Excellence,
virtue, goodness, integrity.
You're talking to a 40-year martial artist. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when you say and you are a 20-year martial artist, 22, 23. Well, more than that, because you came into my 24 year.
Oh,
Congratulations.
thank you.
And I would say that you would be able to defend yourself, but I wouldn't necessarily say that you have a high level of physical prowess.
Yeah, there's skill. Prowess then has multiple ability, skill. Well,
You have developed to a high level based on, there just isn't a functional level. Okay, like a larger woman potentially could dominate a smaller man, potentially. But if we talk about one of the most physically prowled persons in history was Bruce Lee. He was 130 pounds, 135. That's a man.
Yeah.
A man's physical structure, strength, musculature, bone density, ability, leverage capability is so much farther beyond a woman. It doesn't mean you can't defend yourself. If I put a knife in your hand, yeah, I would say you could defend yourself against almost any man, right?
Well, don't put that challenge out there.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, but the knife is the equalizer, right?
Yeah.
If I put a gun in your hand, you could take on any man in the world.
Wouldn't
right?
that also be a part of, just as a different part of the conversation, wouldn't that be a part of prowess?
No, instantaneously my mind went to naked prowess, right? Naked physicality, right?
No,
somebody with no weapons other than the weapons that they've been given.
No, I'm saying as a characteristic of prowess would be utilizing the tools that you have available and also being able to utilize a wider
That's
variety.
Another definition.
Yeah, I would say a component to prowess.
Mm-hmm.
And so what came to mind, and I'm not talking about men and women competing, I'm talking about people like within their own classification. But let's say a woman, I would say that a number of people would say, let's go to UFC, because that's the only sport I really have familiarity with. I would say some within their own rankings, a Ronda Rousey, although she did become more well-rounded, but certainly her prowess is in judo.
She never fought a guy.
But I said I'm not comparing them fighting, with. That's not even in the realm.
But that doesn't matter because in the realm of men will take on challenges that they will find a challenge that they can't do, and they will figure out how to do it, and it will be something that no woman would ever try. And so I'm in if we say in battle, historically only men went to battle. I mean, now there are in the Philippines, we know, and in the time of swords, we know that there were women that were very adept and women that did battle or protected their villages and that type of stuff, but they have the equalizer, right? If they had to do physical hand-to-hand and mano-a-mano hand-to-hand combat, that would be a massive problem, right? But you put a knife, and if you have a knife and I have a knife, whoever cuts each other first is wounded, right? The other person's wounded. So if you're quicker, if you're more articulate, and generally women are more articulate, but that articulateness doesn't lend itself to you being able to knock me out if we go hand to hand.
No, but the objective doesn't have to be knocking out either. It's disabling in some way.
But the prowess has to be at the most base level, right? If we start adding things, we just go, well, I'm a faster runner than you, and you go, well, I'm going to just get on a motorcycle. I mean, that's the female argument that's happening everywhere.
Okay, so
right?
let's back up.
I should say that's the feminist argument that happens everywhere.
So let's back up though. The word prowess came up when I was talking about, are there male fantasies about women who have prowess? So like.
I'm sure there are. I brought up Catwoman.
Yeah, and so, but I think prowess.
That's a little bit more of that's kind of a different fantasy. That's not because she fought Batman. I wasn't turned on that she fought Batman.
No, but I think there can be prowess within categories. And so a person can say, wow, that ice skater, that figure skater you can
break it down, prowess. But again, you're doing the breakdown because you're a woman. As a man, I don't have to do the breakdown.
No, I already did the breakdown to begin with, setting the parameters of women. Do men have an attraction to women with a physical prowess? And
I would say there are. I would say the guys that do CrossFit are probably turned on by some of the women that do CrossFit. But if that woman is the same size as the guy and lifting the same weight, he's probably not turned on by her.
I think you are, early on, I was not athletic naturally.
Look at what I'm attracted to. You're extremely feminine.
Thank you.
I'm married to you now for 23 years. There's a reason, there's multiple reasons, but
you had said your previous relationships, you were attracted to the wrong people, evidently, clearly, and but you had
I made a mistake or two.
you were attracted to people who were physically fit, active, athletic. And so I would say, from your own experience, hearing your own experience, that you were attracted to the physical prowess. And then you had a student come in who is not naturally.
I would not have called it prowess.
Okay, what would you
That
have
would
called
not
it?
have been, he's just picking hairs off
Yeah,
me everywhere.
you had a fuzzy
Yeah, I
hand
got
down.
fuzz. Yeah, I wouldn't have called it prowess. I would have called it, so yeah, I went out with a dancer that went to college for it. I went out with a lady that was a natural bodybuilder, but she wasn't huge. She was just fit. She was more like a fitness model kind of person.
So was it more probably that it was like these people are into the similar things as I am, and so that might be a natural fit?
They were taking care of themselves. They seemed to be, there was a lot of fronts put on. What I learned. Here's a great point for guys. What I learned about women was a serious, a person that is a woman that is driven, a woman that is doing, I am, whether they have the talent, the skill, or anything, they see themselves as, this is what I am. That is not a good aspect. I have not found it to be a good aspect in women, to be like, this is what I am, right? Let's think about it traditionally. Let's say a woman says, I am a mother, right? This is what I am. I am a mother. And she's saying that to her husband. And it's like, the guy married you, you weren't a mother. The guy actually helped you become a mother, but the woman is using that thing to control the situation, right? Kind of like the equalizer, kind of like the knife, right? Kind of like the motorcycle. Well, I can run faster than you. And if you were like, well, I'll just get on a motorcycle, and now I'm going faster than you. That is the way that I see women when they are so determined that they are driven, and they try to, like a guy, naturally, I'm a tool maker, I'm a martial artist, right? But it doesn't define every aspect of my being, and I don't use it against anybody, right? But a woman, what I've seen is women will let it define their being, and then they'll Hadouken, they use it against their partner or their parents or it's almost a way to say, I am independent and I am different and I am in control of my world. And men don't do that. Men just control the world. They don't say I'm in control of the world. They just do it. It's natural, right? It's natural for a woman to be in the world. It's very hard for a man to be in the world and not be controlling the world, right? So I have strived for many years to be in the world, to be, not be of the world, but be in it and to flow, right? It's very simple for me to control my world, to do everything the way I want to do it, and not care about how other people think or care what other people need. Or it's very natural for a man, for a real man, and that's so much more defined nowadays. Like when we were watching 1883, it was hard to pick out who were the real men. but the real men stood up when there was problems.
Yeah.
Right. When the guys stole the food from the family, the real men went and killed them.
Mm-hmm.
And just, we can't have thieves, where there's like 300 people here or whatever it is, 200 people or whatever, and we have 3 thieves. Well, those guys have already proved themselves not men, not worthy. They must die, because if they will steal, what's the next level? Next thing you know, are they raping the women? That's stealing, right? That's taking from somebody. And then are they killing people? That's taking lives. That's stealing, right? So thieves are some of the worst kinds of people, and because they think what you have should be theirs. Well, where does that end? Well, I'm taking your pen. It's mine now. Well, now I'm going to take your notebook. Now I'm going to take this. Now I'm going to take something personal from you. Now I'm going to, it's a slippery slope into, now you should be my slave. Now you should serve me, and in every possible way. Right. And so, I see personally, I would stay away from a woman that's driven. Early on, when I was a young guy, it was attractive in a sense that this person could potentially kind of keep up with me, right? Because I was crazy on the go, working full time, racing motocross, racing mountain bikes, racing flat track quads, racing snowmobiles. I had every season covered. Mm-hmm. I was like what parents do to their kids nowadays. You're in a sport and every season, blah, blah, blah. That was my life, right? Mm-hmm. Plus martial arts, plus NLP, plus remote viewing, plus I was a single father with sole custody of my son for 12 years, 3 months after he was born. And then I met you, right? And so, plus I got married multiple times in that time frame. I mean, there is no way to explain how active and how much energy I personally had in my life. People they don't believe it. Well, I didn't watch TV. I only did things that I was doing in my, I didn't waste time.
Yeah. And
partially how I made bad decisions, in relationships, because I thought, oh, well, this person is high energy. This person will, they'll be able to keep up. And I found out that the characteristics, not for all women, just the characteristics of the women that I chose, that was a very bad characteristic to decide to be in a relationship with a person that was that way.
Well, if they're already driven, they've already decided to be driven about their own things. And so they're already on a trajectory.
That sounds wonderful when you say it now. That sounds like a great perspective that I did not have.
Yeah.
I have it now.
I mean, if you were to come to me as a young man, and I'm the woman I am today, and you're to say, I just met this woman, oh my God, she has so much drive, someone that can finally keep up with me. She does this, and we could do this, and I'd be like, no, she's driven about her own thing.
Yeah, my natural proclivity was she's going to have the energy to follow me.
But where you needed someone who is all about you and has enough energy to keep up just enough to keep doing enough that keeps you, because you do like to do things together.
I do. I like to do everything with you. I needed somebody who would want to do things, but sometimes doesn't. Sometimes just like you do, you say, I just feel like I need some home time today, or I want to go out in the garden today or something. I needed a real woman. I didn't need a woman trying to be driven like a man.
Because drive is a very masculine trait.
It can be, especially the way that it's utilized and brought forth.
Well, I think drive
in general.
Ambition is different.
Kind of like the word prowess.
No, not like the word prowess. But drive, I think, is energy directed. Whereas a woman could have a lot of energy, but might be more like receptive, like
women are better when their energy is slightly more scattered, and it's an instinctive trait. Like when you have children, if you had 4 children, you're keeping track of many things, right? It's like, oh, okay, get down, you're gonna fall. Oh no, don't put your hand in the dog's mouth. Stay away from the bear trap, daddy set that up to get the bears.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. And
Do you have to go potty? Like, it might not even be dangerous, just be like
well, it's
preventing
kind of
those.
like you do literally run a business, but now you have multiple contractors, and they're like, not say if they listen to this, they're not your children, but it's like you're keeping track of multiple kids, and then you're going to go out in the garden, and then you're going to make dinner, and then you're going to, that's a very feminine way of doing things.
And think about the long-term vision as well, like where's their schooling going? Where's, are there extracurriculars we could get them involved in to help?
I just wanted to hold your hand. I felt it was a little chilly.
So very interesting conversation that, on the point of drive for a moment, at the points in my life, I think there are a couple reasons that women get into this drive mode. And that is, I think there are some women who are naturally very driven, very fiery, just naturally have those, I would say, more masculine characteristics. And that's fine. There's a handful of them. And then there's also many women, particularly my age and younger for sure, were raised with, you need to be able to not only take care of yourself, but you need to be this awesome,
not
amazing.
Depend on a man. You were raised with that. Don't depend on a man.
And
I was never told anything negative about women.
Then there became kind of the coaching, like competing with men, and so I think that kind of made more of the drive. And then there's also fear, fear of not having enough, of not surviving, of being under the thumb of someone. And
well, that's deformed security. It's women want security in general. That's like an instinct, right? I wrote down, they like a guy who's risky but safe. They like the bad boy because the bad boy is generally the alpha in the group, and they like a strong man. But they also like, once they get to know a guy, they want to know his gentle side. They want to know his caring side. And if they choose too much of those other character traits, they find out he might not have much of that. There are a lot of guys that, just don't care. They're like, well, you want security, stay in the house, you're fine. And it's like, they don't conceptualize it because that's not the way most men think.
So I watched Beauty and the Beast recently because I was listening to Jordan Peterson. He's like, this Beauty and the Beast really captures the female hero type, and the female, how did he say it? I don't want to misquote him, but really encapsulates maybe he said ideal feminine.
Yeah, she fought for her man. Yeah, she protected him.
But in a very feminine way.
In a very feminine way, yeah.
She ran away from the castle because she was imprisoned.
She was scared by the beast too.
So there are a couple of things, and
it's very good.
It's not time to analyze the whole movie, but maybe we do that.
We'll do that later.
But a couple of things that stood out to me, with this, watching it with that presupposition from Jordan Peterson that this is exemplifying the ideal female. She didn't fall, and this is something Jordan says specifically, but she doesn't fall for Gaston, who is like on the surface the ideal man, but really underneath is the narcissist.
He's arrogant.
He's arrogant.
He's mean.
Doesn't care for other people. So Beauty is imprisoned in the Beast castle, and she escapes. She runs away, and right away is attacked by a pack of wolves. And Beast comes out and defends her and gets rid of the wolves, but gets injured in the meantime. So they're back at the castle, and she's taking care of, she's the nurse. She's nursing him. And he's grumbly because it hurts.
It's all dusty in the castle, so she starts cleaning up. She's the French maid too.
They actually do have the French maid characters already.
Yeah.
But
I thought we weren't going to review the whole movie.
There's just a couple of things that
Okay.
stood out to me. So she's dressing his wounds and he's all grumbly because he's injured and stuff. And she takes a moment and she says,
He's angry.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for protecting me.
Mhm.
And so all along, she's not forcefully trying to change Beast.
Right.
She is being she being who she is.
Yeah.
And, you know, she at a point says, this is enough. She leaves the castle, but then she finds out that the Beast is actually caring and would risk his life seemingly to protect her, that he has those good values that she apparently wants. But she is not like, I mean, there is a scene at the table where he's just slopping his food and she just giggles and she's using her utensils. And I think one of the other characters goes ting, ting, ting with a utensil. So it wasn't even her.
Yeah.
She was actually amused by his beastliness. And so I can see how, I was curious to see and pick up perhaps on what Jordan was talking about, that being the example of the ideal female, that you don't need to be. And I've had to exercise this in our relationship. Okay, how can I influence John without telling him what to do?
Because I'm a beast.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of that, like, okay, there's a lot of that. How do I do this? And it is a skill, I think, that is long lost in at least in our culture, in the Western culture.
And I spend all day with guys. You know, I mean, if I go to a meeting at a company, there might be a woman in the meeting, or I might be a female buyer that I'm conversing with via email or on the phone. But in general, I'm not working with women. You know, so when I do come home, sometimes I know I am, you know, I'm guyified. You know, I come home and I've been joking all day long. I've been throwing barbs. I've been swearing. I've been, you know, getting slivers and cuts and bumping into hard metal things, you know, getting hurt and different things all day long. Right. And so, you know, it's when I come home, sometimes I don't know how gruff I am, because I'm, you know, you're never really gruff enough for the guys, right? Because there's a one-upsmanship all the time. You know, a guy will tell a story, the next guy's telling a nasty story, the next guy's got a dirty joke, the next guy's got it. You know, it's just always it's nonstop and it's constant, and it's kind of heaven for a man. You know, it's kind of a great. I go other places, and we live in Minnesota. So if we go into Minneapolis, it's very, most of the men I run into in Minneapolis are very feminized, you know, and it can be a frustrating experience, you know, and so, you know, being out where we live, we're in the country, you know, it's real guys, you know, it's just, you know, nobody checks the weight on something and says, oh, hey, Bill, make sure you lift with your legs and not your back. You know, it's like guys just grab stuff and, you know, and they're twisting and torquing and moving. And one of my guys was just telling me a story. His neighbor called. They moved from the city during the riots. They bought a house right next to him. And it's a farm place, basically. And these people know nothing. They like, you know, we can't get out of our driveway and it's too long to shovel, and our snowblower won't start. And so they call him up, and he shows up in his Bobcat and clears the driveway. And then they had a snowblower with a lawn and garden snowblower. And so they're like, we can't get it attached. We've been out here, and it was like 18 below. Their driveway was plugged, just snowed over, like 6 foot drifts and everything. They had no idea that kind of stuff happens, right?
Yeah. Then you got to learn how to make snow fences and.
Well, yeah, they didn't have that, and so he told them about all that, you know, how to do it, and so they're like, we can't get the snowblower on the tractor, right? So he goes over with his Bobcat, thinking I'm gonna have to lift this snowblower to get it on the tractor. Well, it's a tiny little lawn and garden tractor like that junker I have sitting out there with a little 20-inch snowblower, and it's not aligned, right? Well, he just grabs it, picks it up, aligns it, and the lady goes, "Wow, you don't mess around." And he's like, "Well, why didn't you guys move it over?" And they were both like, "It's so heavy." He picked it up, and it probably weighed 120 pounds or 150, I don't know, but it's a bunch of metal, right?
Right.
And he just gets it all hooked up and starts it, and they're like, "Boy, I'm glad you're our neighbor," all this stuff. And I mean, he's like, they would have probably froze to death trying to do it because they're outside. He gets over there, they're just like, and they're just shivering.
Well, you're working on metal too.
They're wearing stuff kind of like this is like an indoor jacket almost, or layering underneath a coat and a parka, and they're wearing just thin kind of city slicker people kind of stuff, and they're freezing, and they're trying to get it because they got to get their driveway. It's a hilarious story.
Yeah.
Because it's like,
when you're not the person.
Well,
having...
yeah, I mean, it's like people moving out to the mountains and they don't realize that the road is going to be closed for 2 months, because we don't even have equipment to clear that much snow. You get 50 feet of snow in the mountains, you're not going anywhere, right? And anyway, so it was just a hilarious story, but it's guys, we're talking about stuff, and I'm like, "Well, what was the difficulty?" And he's like, "Well, it wasn't aligned. They couldn't get the bolts in, and they weren't moving it to get it aligned, and they just thought it was too heavy."
Yeah.
So it's
well, it was, as we were watching 1883 and they're on the Oregon Trail, that type of scenario really became apparent to me. I think it made really, this happens in everyday life where you have people who are experienced, who are guiding, and in some ways, like they took upon themselves the responsibility, right? I mean, they were getting paid by these mostly immigrants too.
And when there were people that didn't listen, sometimes they beat the hell out of them, because there were men that were putting other people's lives in danger.
Yeah.
And there were people that, I mean, you would die crossing a river.
Oh yeah.
And so even in a river you could stand up in, you can get swept downstream and held underwater by an undercurrent, and people don't realize that. They're like, "Oh, that's not that deep."
Well, if you played Oregon Trail, you'd know that.
Yeah, but the river's moving. If it's moving 5 miles an hour, you're in trouble. If it's moving 10 miles an hour, you're dead. It's just, you're not going to be able to get out of it. It's going to take you
or a kid
half a mile to swim to the shore.
It takes a kid, and then you have to go after the kid and all that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So anyway, we've been going for an hour and 12 minutes.
That's a good wrap up time, ending with 1883 and Oregon Trail.
Yeah. Cheers.
All right. Have a good one.
Later.